Good afternoon, everybody. This is Matt Valen. I'm just hoping everybody's having a great start to their holiday season and wanted to provide a really quick update on what's going on both federally and in the state for right now regarding Alzheimer's. First off, at the federal level, there's still some stuff going on at the federal level. We do have a budget coming up that still needs to be resolved. As you all are probably aware, the budget they have now signed two straight continuing resolutions to kind of kick the can down the road and settle a budget. The government is going to be funded to the end of this month. So here in December, we're expecting Congress to come up hopefully with a budget that they will fund the government. And if not, they'll probably do another continuing resolution that will push the budget out into the new year. We're continuing our push of $350 million for Alzheimer's research. We're also continuing our push for $200 million for BOLD infrastructure. As those of you know, the BOLD Act passed last year. It creates our largest dementia infrastructure, but it needs to be funded at $20 million a year for the next 5 years. The House version put in $10 million for that. We're really still continuing to push for $20 million. So we're going to continue to push through that throughout the end of the year. We talked in the last 2 months about the Older Americans Reauthorization Act passed the House, along with the Palliative Care, Hospice and Education Training Act. They have both passed the House. They still sit in the Senate. We're still pushing and trying to keep up the pressure there on the Senate to move forward with those bills. Now, the Improving Hope for Alzheimer's Act, we're continuing to push that bill. That one's definitely going to go into the new year as we continue to push towards forum. We picked up 2 new co-sponsors thanks to our Coffee with Congress event that we held in Metro Detroit at the end of November. It was a great event. We had 4 members of Congress there, Rep. Tlaib, Rep. Levin, Rep. Lawrence, and Rep. Haley Stevens all attended. They all spoke. We had about 60 to 70 volunteers there and staff members that also spoke with them. It was a great event. A lot of stories were shared. A lot of experiences with Alzheimer's were shared. And in the end, we had, Rep. Lawrence and Rep. Tlaib signed on to the Improving Hope for Alzheimer's Act as soon as they got back to DC. So that was exciting. And also, Rep. Levin called his DC staff from the car after leaving our event and let them know that he wanted to co-sponsor the Younger Onset Alzheimer's Act. So overall, it was a great event, very successful, and we picked up some new co-sponsors on those bills. So we're going to continue to push those at the federal level going into the new year. And for ambassadors planning to go in the forum, this month we're going to start to work on our DFD. So we are going to start to look at scheduling our district meetings. I would start to make those calls now to hopefully get on the schedule for January. We want to, at least for now, try to get a member of Congress to meet with us. But by the time we get to about into January, if it doesn't look like we're going to have a member of Congress meet with us, we will just meet with staff, and that is fine. So we're going to start to work on that. Now, as far as the state goes, in Michigan, we have interesting news to report on that, which is it appears that this week, Governor Granholm and Republican leaders in the legislature have come to a budget agreement that will resolve many of the vetoes that Governor Whitmer issued at the beginning of October. So we're going to have to see where that all shakes out. The rumor has it that the funding for the Michigan Dementia Care and Support Program is included in this budget deal. And we are waiting to see if we can cross next week the finish line and actually have the full legislature vote on that package. All the details of that package be released so we can see the details of it and hopefully Governor Whitmer sign it. If that happens, you will get notification from me of what has happened with that budget deal. But right now, senators are saying they're 80 to 90% sure that this budget deal is going to happen, it's going to go through, and our funding would be included in it. And so if that is included, what that does is be $400,000 for us to implement the Dementia Care and Support Program, within 10 counties in the state. And so that's something we would have to ramp up pretty quickly. But we've heard news similar to this before, so we're not getting too far in front of ourselves here. We're going to wait and see and make sure it happens before we jump out and go public and start to talk about that. So, but we wanted to make sure you guys had a heads up on that that's where we're going, and that's what we're looking at. So, in addition to that, we're starting to get ready for the 2020 year at the state and what we're going to push. Dementia infrastructure in Michigan is going to be a big issue for us. Right now, we're starting to settle around what our legislation would look like as far as what we would want in Michigan to create an infrastructure around dementia. Right now, Michigan has no infrastructure around dementia. We have an entire chronic disease division that deals with heart disease, obesity, tobacco control, cancer, arthritis, injury control, opioids, all sorts of things. But dementia is not one of them. And so we are going to be looking to do a little bit more in the field of specific dementia infrastructure in the state so we can tackle this issue so we can fund multiple programs in the future. So stay tuned for that. We should have an announcement in January as to what exactly our asks for next year are going to look like, what our legislative agenda in Michigan is going to look like. And with that, we'll also start to open up our State Advocacy Day registration. So State Advocacy Day is going to be on April 28th. So please look out for that. Mark your calendars now, but registration is going to open for that in January. So that's kind of what's going on right now in the federal legislature and in the state legislature. And so that leads me to the next thing. What do we need from you? Well, for ambassadors are going to start looking at meetings for ACT members and for state champions. We can still be doing drop-bys to congressional offices. I thank everybody that has already done those. We could use a lot more to be done, especially to take that one pager on the BOLD Infrastructure Act funding and be sharing that with members of Congress because a lot of them don't know about it. And we definitely just need to get more touches into those offices. So if you have not done a drop-by, we're asking please between now and the end of the year, drop by one of the congressional offices if you have one near to your home. So that is very important. I thank everybody that submitted a letter to editor in November for Family Caregiver Month. We had several of those published in different papers from Brighton to Lapeer and around the state. So thank you for everybody that submitted a letter to the editor for that month. It was very successful. And so as we move forward into the new year, we're going to be looking to do a lot more coming out of the chute in January around our hopefully new priorities for the state, legislative stuff, and then also continuing the drumbeat, assuming they have not passed the federal budget as far as funding goes for research, as far as both funding. And then also we're going to continue to push the Improving Hope for Alzheimer's Act as one of our main priorities. So at any time, anybody can go meet with members of Congress or their staff about any of those issues. If you need resources from me, please let me know. Send me a quick email or make a phone call as we get ramped up and try to do a little bit more here at the end of the year and into January. Also, I like to do a reminder on this every 6 months, and I did so back in July, and I will do so now. We really need people to get in there and report the activity that they have done in the allsimpact.org website. So if you haven't done that, please do log in to the website and report your activity. I have some great news on that front. I pushed our national staff that it was really cumbersome for our volunteers to report every email that they send and every social media that they post as far as things that they've tagged lawmakers on or that they posted about things. And so I'm happy to report that when you go in and do your report back form, at the bottom for those personal messages and for those social media interactions, there's a thing at the bottom that asks how many of these have you done, and you can put up to 5. So if you have done 5, or I would even suggest once you've done 5 emails or you've done 5 social medias, at that time, then go in and report and say, I did social media to my member of Congress and go and click the drop down box that allows you to choose 5 and say you did 5 of them and submit it. And that's going to save you guys a lot of time. And that was the whole point of it, is that I don't want people wasting their time with reporting and reporting and reporting, especially things that are just an email or just a social media post. The big things like face-to-face meetings, making a phone call, doing a drop-by visit, attending a town hall, all those things, any media, submitting a letter to the editor, we want you to report all of those things. But when you were just we're answering the email action alerts and sending an email to them, or responding to emails with congressional staff or state staff, or posting on social media. We want to make that as easy as possible. So every time you do 5 of them, then you can go in and report 5 at one time, and it's going to save you a lot of your time. So those are the updates I have for this month. I thank you again to everybody for all your activity over the last month. We're really starting to ramp things up here as we start to move into the new year. And so we're still pushing to do those drop-bys. I know there's lots of stuff in the holidays going on. People are busy, but you can expect a lot more activity opportunities and action opportunities in the new year as we start to push out our agenda for 2020. So with that, contact me at any time with any questions you might have, concerns you may have, any asks for resources that you might need, and I will get all that information to you. So thank you for taking the time to listen today, and have a happy holiday.